there a song playing?
The song has just commenced playing.
It's still playing?
No, it's just commenced. Commenced means finished.
No, commenced means begun.
Oh, fuck. You're right.
So is the song over? Or
It
not?
has commenced. Finished.
Commenced means begun.
Oh, yeah. It is finished, yeah.
Are you all right?
What's the opposite of commenced?
Finished.
Subsided.
Subsided.
The song has subsided.
I see a spider.
We're in
Can you hear the jungle?
I think they might be able to hear the jungle in the background.
I'm fucking sitting outside.
I've got headphones in, so I can't actually hear it.
Well,
so you can hear it.
I'm getting eaten alive by bugs, so they can hear the fucking jungle. So, hey, Mr. Producer.
We're in Asia. For the folks at home, we're in Asia, Indonesia, Bali. It's one of the best Chinese countries there is out there.
Chinese-looking
people, I mean.
Why are you whispering? See, I told you we needed to do this inside, and now you're whispering.
No.
I can't hear.
I don't want to startle the wild beasts in the. We're literally in the jungle. We're in the jungle.
And I said let's do it inside, and you were like, no, let's do it outside. And
I don't want to waste any of this outside jungleness while we have it. So I would be sitting out here anyway. You said we need a podcast because it's important, and we're doing it, and we're in the jungle, and I want the people to be in the jungle with us.
Well, I hope they are. For all we know, it's just dead silent, and it sounds like we're in a podcast studio. So if that's the case, YouTube some jungle noises and play them in the background while you listen to this.
And sync it up, and it would be very accurate to our experience right now.
Yeah. So, yes, we are in the jungle, and it is nice. My favorite part about it is there are no comedians here.
I saw a pretty funny lizard.
Present company included in that statement. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, that was a dig.
That was a joke.
That was a dig. I saw a pretty funny geckos. We talk about the animals.
I think you want... I mean, I love the animals, but you're the one who's been on fucking animal patrol this whole time.
Oh, we've got animals running in. I thought Catherine would be shitting her pants because she's a bit of a pussy when it comes to...
You think I'm a pussy when
it comes to creepy crawlies?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Bali belly. And I was you think I don't know diarrhea? My friend, I am diarrhea.
No, but she's impressed me with her control of her panics when it comes to...
I like that you're talking about me like I'm not here.
I'm talking to the people.
Why are you still whispering?
I'm not.
Okay.
I've commenced talking loudly now.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
So we're staying with a family.
Yes, we're staying
with
with a
Indonesian family have took us in.
Yes.
We're renting their Airbnb.
Well, let's make it very clear. It is literally cheaper to do this than to exist in our apartment and pay our electric and gas bill in London. Literally. You know what's crazy is our electric and gas bill, because one of the homestays we're going to be in, if you were to rent it out for a month, which we're not, but I looked it up today because, I'm like 1 foot out the door of England. If you were to rent it out for a month, it's literally the cost of 1 month of electric and gas in our apartment in London. Okay. To be in a place where they let you live and they pay the electric and gas if there is any, but you don't know because they bring you breakfast to your room every day and it's fucking fresh fruit.
It's like the good old days.
And so I've traded freezing my ass off to the tune of 140 pounds a month, okay, in London for instead what I get is breakfast and the sun and people giving me a fucking smoothie every morning. I've never been more Gwyneth Paltrow in my life. I don't know why we're going back.
What you said is it's like cosplaying being rich.
But then you see the actual rich people here, and it's disturbing.
Yeah, it's full of Russians.
It is Russians.
Trash.
So, well, we might as well, because this is the thing.
They got big square faces, and they're all long, gangly arms. Let's get really racist.
Before we start on Russian racism, I want to get into some other stuff. And for the record, I know people. They're from Brooklyn, but they're Brooklyn Russian Jews. They're excluded.
Gross. That's like a double whammy.
Okay.
A triple. They're American as well.
I was going to go ahead and say I'm excluding them from all these statements. but you just tripled down, didn't you? Anyway, I'm staring at another spider. We came to Bali after finishing what I would call a accidental medium success in Adelaide. And I say accidental because did we talk about our show?
I would call it getting away with it, basically.
Getting away with it.
Financially getting away with it.
Well, we didn't. Well, we need to make it clear. We didn't like make money.
If the idea was to make money, no. But if the idea was to not lose money,
yes,
nailed
yes.
it. I mean, then you can't count all the beans because that would make you sad.
Oh,
so
I've counted the fucking beans. I've counted the beans. And let me just. I'll say this. My solo show. I think the room fit 85 people. Okay, and by solo show, I mean this hour that I've run before that is, and like I know it's me talking or whatever, but like at this point I've run it so like I know it's good. And as I'm standing there delivering it to fucking 9 people on a Wednesday, that's not even fair. It was more like 5 on a Wednesday. I think it was 9 on Thursday. And they were all laughing. I don't know. The point is like it's good, but you're just like sitting there. You're like, oh, I didn't even feel. My 5 nights I did together did not reach the number 85. So like at the end of the day, at the end of the run, I sold enough tickets to cover my room rental and the registration fee to Adelaide Fringe, and then I think I made. And I'm probably being whatever. I think I made around 140 Australian dollars, which is
£70.
£70. I sold some merch, but I don't. Yeah. So anyway, that was fucking Adelaide. But then Mark and I did a show called Married at First Fight, which we will be doing again at Brighton. At the Brighton Fringe and Edinburgh Fringe this year, so you can look for that, where we each go up and banter. Did I say the name?
What? Yeah.
What are you fucking disassociating now?
No, I'm just saying, like, this is how you do comedy. You just get the biggest retard gimmick and you shove it down their fucking throats.
Okay.
And they love it.
Well,
because they're handicaps.
But see, we don't. I asked you.
The show's good. I
asked you. Did I say the name? And you don't know. You don't know if I even said the name.
Married at First Fight, you said
did
that.
I say it? Well,
yeah.
I asked you if I said it because I can't remember because I'm in
did.
the fucking jungle, and I'm watching these animals like look at me like I'm food. Yeah. Anyway, it is a good show. And we let the audience decide who's the funniest, so that's fun. And that
makes money.
Yeah,
that's what makes money, not your little jokey jokes.
No.
And your structure.
Nobody wants
and
jokey
your fucking
jokes
narrative and your story arc.
Narrative.
No, they want whatever they see on TV. The fucking
or story arc.
The pigs want their slop, and I'm a slop provider. Eat it out of my ass, you dirty little piggies. Didn't we saw the piggies today? Didn't we in the woods?
Yeah, we should switch from talking about comedy but anyway, also filthy funny females.
Did okay.
It did. I mean, I didn't make.
Australia doesn't like women,
money.
and you can't force people.
Adelaide doesn't like women.
You can't force people to like women because they're, basically unlikable. But as history has proven time and time again that women are unlikable, and that's no one's fault. I mean, thank God some of the guys are taking over as women because we need to get them to be more likable. So some of the fellas are cutting off their peener, and they're being better women. So, good one from you guys. You're getting some real players on your team.
Well, I'm really glad we got some women, making dicks out of whatever they're making to join your team because you guys need a little more thought and feeling when it comes to, for example, I don't know, things
sounds like
everyone's into a
microphone
that goes out on the internet permanently. Just saying. Anyway. Adelaide happened. I think we left at the right time. We probably should have just skipped it and come to Bali. I'd actually like to.
I think Adelaide is there's money to be made off Adelaide.
I'd like to. Well, I'd like just skip going back to real life and stay in Bali. For the record, just so everybody knows, you don't have to be rich to come to Bali, and we are not rich.
But as soon as you land, you'll feel rich.
Yes, you do.
Because there's a massive divide between poor and rich. And if you've got fucking $20 in your pocket, you're on the right side of the line, brother.
It's crazy. So
the locals are very nice, by the way.
The locals are incredible.
They're very lovely
That's
people.
the other. Yeah, I mean, well,
Our problem is the Russians. They're like they're our new Italians.
Can you wait? So, the other thing that saved us, I think, in Adelaide was finding that bus pass.
Did we talk about that?
We have not talked about that because we were renting. So, the best part of Adelaide was, what was it? Okay, we did go to a very nice barbecue.
That was great.
We did a very nice barbecue.
That was very rich.
We were invited to a barbecue by
Rich people.
Ollie Horn, whose
family
family that he married into.
Somehow got his mom to marry into a good family like that.
The man is a heart surgeon.
Just so he can have somewhere to stay for a festival.
And he lived in a mansion.
That is how to be a tactical comic. As in, use your mother's marriage to get some cheap rent, free rent.
That is stand-up comedy. So
a mansion.
An
absolute mansion. It was.
It was a real mansion. It was the kind of.
They had a dog and everything.
They had a dog. They had a big enough house to invite a second dog to be there for the barbecue. It was the type of house where I said, Ollie, can I see the room you're staying in, because everything else is so magnificent? And he was like, I would, but they don't want people going upstairs.
And I agree with them.
And
you don't want slop.
Nope.
You don't want slop going up your beautiful stairs.
Not allowed to go upstairs. Well, they were very kind. They gave us a lot of free, delicious food.
The wine. Did we talk about it?
There was a wine tasting. No.
We didn't.
No.
There was a wine tasting.
Yeah, there was a wine tasting.
I was asking a lot of questions because I'm interested.
So like, here's the thing. We get invited to this barbecue, right? And I'm like, all right, it's barbecue. It's barbecue pool party. All right, cool. It said start time 12:30 p.m., which, we're comedians. That's usually what time the comedians are waking up. I mean,
I actually wake up a lot earlier than that.
I know, but,
I don't want to be the stereotypical fat-ass comedian in bed till noon. Sorry.
Okay, well, a lot of them are.
Yes.
So I was like, that's kind of early, but all right. But then I was like, morning of, we were kind of like lazing around or whatever, because it, had been a busy final days of shows. And like, I message Ollie. I was like, so what time do you think people are actually showing up? And he wrote back to me, 12:30. It said that on the invitation, because he did send out a digital invitation. He was like, it said that on the invitation, and it did say, try not to be late. I don't know how more clear I could be. And I was like, okay, I don't actually think everybody's showing up at 12:30. Mind you, but, I'm like, this is like a fucking pool party barbecue. Do you know what I mean? Like, the whole thing is like, here's the start time, and then everybody shows up, within an hour or 2 hours of that, right? Well, when we're like getting an Uber, he was like, we've all sat down around the table and the wine is about to be served. Couldn't you have just been on time? And I'm sitting here like, am I fucking going to a dinner party? You know what I mean? Like, I was like wearing like cutoffs, but just turns out it was a very fancy barbecue. And yes, there were people seated around a table. And yes, there was a wine tasting. And there was like a pork shoulder or some shit. It was amazing.
There was skewers.
I've just never been to a sit down.
There was chicken wings. There was a beautiful
barbecue
salad. A beautiful salad
like
with all sorts of stuff in it. There was a quinoa in it. Quinoa.
It wasn't quinoa. It was
couscous.
Couscous.
Oh, la dee da.
Okay.
Couscous. What are we doing? Are we fucking buying slaves or something? What's going on? Couscous.
Okay, so
good they named it twice because it used to be called Coos.
So we had a great barbecue. I enjoyed a rock shop there quite a bit. I learned a lot from the dude. I got on
the sauce. I'm not really known for drinking anymore, but I decided I'd have a few, because the wine tasting, you have to taste it to tell the lady. She's like, what's it taste like? And I'm like, it tastes like fucking wine. And she was like, where's it from? And I was like, Australia. All the answers were Australia.
All the answers were
New
Australia.
World and Old World wine. So before and after. So Old World is France and Italy, and New World is South America.
I've stopped listening. So
anyway, it was very interesting.
So the highlights of Adelaide were the barbecue with the wine tasting. I liked. Well, we stayed in a very nice Airbnb.
Mm-hmm. Our host was a lovely guy.
Our host was a lovely guy. He had very tasteful decoration and a lot of scented candles, and he was very fit, like in shape, like very jacked.
Gave us a tub of Nutella.
And
He was
gave
like,
us,
"Hey, fatties,
yeah, he was like, here's a tub of Nutella
here you go,
for
you
you.
fucking fat pieces of shit.
So we ate that.
I'm going to the gym, but why don't you fucking eat out of a spoon?" And we were like, "Yes, we will." And we did.
Yeah, we did. All of it. And of course, I start just mouthing off the moment I met him, blah, blah, blah. Turns out he's a police officer who loves scented candles, chakras, and giving away Nutella.
And he also, what else did he provide us with? Just more free food. Coffee.
Yeah, he offered coffee, tea, whatever. But then
wine.
But then the thing, so we were going to try to, you go to these new places and then there's like, you got to get a fucking transit pass for each new place, right? But it costs you like $10 and then it's like non-refundable. And then you're like, well, I'm here. I don't even need this. I just want to go to the beach one day. So he was going to see if he had any, but then he didn't find any. But then we found one on the ground.
Yeah, but that's when he left. He was like, before he left, because he was going away to patrol the other coast of South Australia for a week.
Yeah.
Which is very good. If you're getting an Airbnb and the host is like, I'm out of here for a week, make yourself at home. That's like, fuck, I would have even paid more for one without a roommate.
That. Yeah.
But I mean,
that's how it works. You do pay more for one without a roommate, and we typically can't afford that. Anyway, so then we found the bus pass, and then I was trying to take it out of the case, and then we found the bag of meth, and that was...
We didn't know it was meth.
We didn't know it was meth.
So she picked up a bus pass on the street, and we were like, score,
pass.
Maybe we'll use this to go to the beach, maybe some bucks in it. Then she tried to open it, and I was like, why are you trying to fucking pull it apart? And then she was like, oh my God.
Why wouldn't I try to take it out of the weird
case? Yeah, I know, it was
just
a weird... The case was weird.
It was like hard plastic.
And I was
like protective plastic.
Oh, wow, it's a bag of Coke.
I thought it was a bag of Coke, too.
And I'm like, Coke's expensive in Australia. So
Coke is expensive.
We would be making $300.
Yeah, I was fucking excited. I was like, fuck the festival. We'll just deal this out.
Shit.
But then, of course...
We bought it back to our Airbnb where our cop lives.
Well, which I felt very uncomfortable about.
Yeah, but he was patrolling the coast.
And what do you mean brought it back? We found the thing like right outside the Airbnb. That's what we were going to do.
We brought the pass back. We opened it up. Too late. Yes. Trickadoonies. Oh my God, we were tricked by nature into it being the narcotics are now in the cops.
The bus pass tree tricked us by dropping bus passes on the ground?
In the cop's house.
So... I then say to Mark, obviously we're not doing any of this, but then, well, surprise, I have to go to a show, and who doesn't listen to me?
No, what happened was
you're ridiculous. You leave the evidence out.
Don't jump ahead, please.
You use one of your flyers.
Don't jump ahead, please. I was busy. I was doing I was jazzing up my flyers. I probably said this in the last podcast. I printed off 200 flyers for free in a print shop.
With the wrong date.
I got the date wrong, so I had to go through each one of them with a pen to change the date. When I was going through them with a pen to change the date, I thought I'd put a joke on the back, free joke on the back of the flyer. Maybe it was offensive jokes. Maybe someone would find the flyer, laugh at the free joke, and go, you know what? Let's give fucking special needs here a chance, because this looks like a tragedy altogether. And
would have been fair.
So I was doing that all day, and in the kitchen area, I had a little production line going, change the date, swipe with a pen, write a little joke. I had about 6 different street jokes, / some of the jokes I wrote there very good, that I was putting on the back. And then I just started to get the curiosity bug, was crawling around my little brain. And I was like, I wonder how pure the cocaine in the bag is that we found from the bus pass. So I went and I got the bus pass and I brought it into the bathroom. And I smelled the bag, and it smelled weird.
With one of your flyers?
I got one of my flyers, and I rolled it up. And I crushed up the very, very crunchy, shardy cocaine, and I tasted it. It tastes like battery acid.
Okay, that should have been... You didn't even tell me that part. Hello, you...
you dip your... You have to dip your finger into everything to taste it these days, in case you might be getting poisoned.
Yeah, right, okay.
And I did the tiniest, teensiest... puniest little line.
You can't even call it a line.
A line like the size of a blue bottle. No, that's not a good reference. The size of
what's a blue bottle?
A fly. The size of... Okay, this is good. The size of what's the aux plug called on headphones? The silver bit on that. It was exactly that size.
Wait, the hole?
No, the fucking silver bit.
The silver bit is quite large.
No, on these little things.
Dad, that's long.
Okay. Let's say again. your baby fingernail of a man, a small man,
All right.
a small white man. Anyway, the size of that, and even a little bit less than that probably. And it was like a kick from a donkey to the face, and I was like, "That's strange cocaine."
Well,
And then I just went and my production line, productivity went up at least 32%.
32. Is that
I was just
is that the actual number?
I was smashing it through. I actually had to crack that little bottle of cider that was in the
Fucking
fridge
take the edge off.
to take the edge off. I was working too fast.
Mm.
And then, well, I didn't sleep for fucking 36 hours.
Yeah, ridiculous. And
So it wasn't
But
cocaine.
here's the fucked thing: is that I wouldn't have probably known. I did think it was a little weird when I called you and was like, "Where are you?" And you didn't want any of the food I asked you to bring, and you were a little weird on the phone. But I also just thought, whatever.
But I wasn't really high. I was just goosed up, just because it was such a little bit.
Well, yeah, because I called you and I was like, "Where are you?" And you were like, "Oh, yeah, I'll leave now." And I'm like, "What?" Like you should have left. But what gave it away?
I was still early.
What gave it away was when we got home
After the shows.
and I went to the bathroom
After all the shows.
and I see this rolled up flyer just sitting there. And I come out and I'm like, "Did you?" And you go, "No." And I'm like, "What?" And then you're
I was like, no, I was just writing my jokes in the bathroom.
I hate when you lie to me for no reason. I hate it. Because if do you think you being up all night wouldn't have...
Yeah, but I wasn't high. It was just...
Yeah, but you were up all
It was
night.
it was just the whole day. I was just a bit wired, but not.
I
high,
think
you know.
I
did all the
don't know.
comedy shows grand. They were all good, like not
Oh,
even great,
yeah,
not
well,
great,
I guess
but not bad. You know,
That's
just,
what happens.
Just whatever.
When you do meth, maybe you should
They were
take
just
that on
alright.
board as like a regular...
No, but you did. I'll give you that.
prop comic.
You can't sleep. You can't sleep after that.
No, it's
shit.
horrendous. And I guess once
If I did a full big, I mean, I did like maybe 100th of the bag. If you had done like a fifth of the bag in one big line, you would ruin your life 100%. You'd be up for 5 days. You would do something crazy.
Well-
That's why I could feel off that tiny bit. If you did a big humper-doodle, oh my God, you'd wake up surrounded by fucking dead children or something.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Once upon a time...
Let's not get into it.
No, we're going to get into it. I would have done drugs I found off the ground. And you appear to still be in that phase. What?
No, this phase is called curiosity. I am literally
Yeah, but
a
look-
homo sapien on this planet.
Okay.
Just trying to wandering
I
around.
was curious, but I wasn't curious enough to ingest it.
Yeah, well, I'm more ape curious than you.
Well, I'm saying I was once ape curious,
And you know what?
and now I'm like,
we threw it in the trash. We threw it in the trash.
We did no such thing. We did not throw it in the trash.
You threw it in the trash.
You
threw it in the
disposed
trash.
of it. I took it out very much near where I found it because I thought
I feel sorry for the crackhead who lost it. Person of crack.
What about his
Person of crack.
bus pass? Assuming
Yeah.
it's a man. The whole thing smelled of cigarettes. We of course there was like the conversation, like, okay, well, like, do we just put it back where we found it? Do we just give it back to the world? But like, I think we both decided together that
No, I think it was
meth is
better
not something
better for someone not to find that one.
the world needs. Yes, like again, had I been a curious kid, as I once was, as you say, with the ape mind that you currently have, that I have, you no longer have, but if I had it and I picked it up, that could have ruined my life.
Yeah.
So anyway, threw
It's
it
good
away.
thing I practice restraint and sensibility by not doing a big amount of it. You know, I knew in for a penny is not in for a pound, and I didn't want to be in for a pound. I wanted to be in for less than a penny. So that was smart on my part, I think. Curiosity served. The cat knows now, but without becoming cat stew. Do you understand what I mean?
So if the cat finds another bag of drugs on the ground, what is the cat doing with it?
A little less.
Less than what you did last time.
The tiniest bit. I'm going all.
So at what
I'm a
point-
microdoser.
At what point do you stop doing the drugs you find on the ground?
When they stop appearing on the ground in front of me, God provides. Sorry.
God provides
Allah puts what's there, I try.
a bag of meth.
Yeah. It's la, my lord. Thank you.
Have you told your mom you do this?
Don't bring my mother into this, please.
I don't think she'd be very happy.
Anyway, so
Anyway.
I'm a content creator, but if I'm just thinking, like, we wouldn't have had that content if I didn't provide.
Well,
I
we
didn't
wouldn't
provide
have
the
had enough
curiosity.
content. We didn't need the bit where you actively found out it was bad.
It was white
You
though. I
could-
didn't think Crystal Met was white.
Well,
but
this is the
I
thing.
guess-
Because I am, and I know I mentioned this on this podcast before, I am currently a member of the meth Reddit, and as well as meth for tits or whatever the fuck, the ones where the ladies get their titties out and stuff. Because it's fascinating, I guess, because I used to do meth. I don't know, but it does look. I guess like sometimes I'm like, that's meth now. Now, again, it's been
blue,
a while,
like in
so
show.
I guess some of it is white now.
I guess everything's kind of.
But if you have to crush up
synthesized.
a crystal, that should have been your first.
It wasn't a crystal though. It was just like fucking.
That's the
yeah, I
word you
guess it
said.
was.
Hard rock.
Yeah, I guess it was shards basically.
Terrible. Well, I'd like it if you stopped doing.
That was the
drugs
first time
you
I've done
found
that
off the
in God knows how long. Maybe ever. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Not ever. But
Yeah.
definitely in
I was going to say if you're
in recent
doing drugs
memory.
off the ground for the first time at 35,
34. Thank you.
you're nearly 35.
We don't round off here.
Well, you
we
keep
do
telling
we
people
do
on
we
stage that you're 33. So I think we're going to
the
go ahead and round
joke
up.
works because that's when Jesus died. I add a line of it. I added a line to it as well. I'm always looking out for Romans, and then they're like, what? Because Romans killed Jesus, and I said, yeah, I used to say Jews, but Kanye ruined this. Do you get it?
If you get to be 33 in a joke, I'm calling you 35 right now. So you're nearly, drugs off the ground for the first time, nearly at 35. Well, what I like about Indonesia is drugs are not allowed here, so everything is either
Catherine's become a real fucking Nancy Drew when it comes to
a Nancy Drew.
Nancy Reagan. She's become a real.
She's
become a real Nancy Reagan when it comes to
Nancy
drugs.
Reagan. I guess against drugs. That's
She's like lock 'em up forever.
Well, you know what? I think there's something to be said for like, I have had a lot of those experiences, and what I've learned from those experiences is they are merely experiences. So anything that you're trying to glean from them, while you can potentially remember, like I can remember that sort of feeling I had while I was on mushrooms, right? Oh, like we were all one and whatever. And it's like this great feeling, but it's a memory of a feeling, not the actual feeling. And when you are experiencing that actual feeling, it is something that's induced by drugs and not like an actual way of life or being. So I guess for me, I'm just saying that I'm trying to get to the real thing and not have it be a sort of false god, if you will.
Okay, but I'm just saying that curiosity, the ape brain that I have evolved with provides curiosity. Without curiosity, look at the lizard up there, isn't he fantastic? Without curiosity, we wouldn't have these fancy microphones, we wouldn't have technology, flights. You don't think the Wright brothers would have been right or wrong if they had not been
I don't
curious?
think the Wright brothers would have done
We wouldn't have flown
bag
here.
of meth they found on the ground.
Well, you know what? They wouldn't have jumped off a fucking a cliff with a fucking kite strapped to their back either if they didn't have the curiosity. I am an adventurer. I am going out there. I am pursuing life experience. I am the man.
I found the bus pass.
Well done. You are a scavenger and I am a doer.
Wow, I'm a scavenger, you're a doer, and then I'm the mommy that cleans up after the doer when I had to find the doer's crumpled up flyer, and when I had to get rid of the doer's drugs so the police officer that we were living with wouldn't arrest us for drugs that aren't even ours that you did.
5-star Airbnb rating.
Yes.
5-star Airbnb.
I feel
rating.
bad. I hope he never listens to this. It was
He won't.
I don't think he will,
He
but
won't.
there was one point he did ask us, and he was a very nice person. I actually really like he had a very warm energy. Like, again, this is a cop who loves scented candles, so there's a dichotomy there you don't see often. He did ask us if we were like fringe performers, and I just get this like sense of like embarrassment. I'm like, ugh, like,
I don't know why you don't lie about that. I always say no. If anyone goes, do you do? No.
because on the off chance we run, if he decides to go to it, and what do you know what I mean? Like, what if he decides to go to our show? We're living with him, and it totally could happen.
Are you performers? No. And then he randomly goes for a show and he tries to talk to us, and we're like, we're not the people you're living with. You've made a mistake.
Well, you would have had to have given him an entire bag of meth to make that work, but yeah, it's just, and you're like, yeah, and I don't know, the thing is people, I don't know if you've noticed this, but people get like excited for you. They're like, oh, that's so, and you're just like,
it must be amazing. I love comedy.
Yeah, but then
comedians are the only truth tellers. I'm like, no, they're the biggest retards. Shut up, Mr. Cop. You don't know what you're talking about.
That's not
truth tellers.
He didn't say that. You're living in a fantasy. He didn't say that to you, but he did clearly look up our show, and he was like, oh, if I don't have to leave for work for a week, which thank God he did, he was like, I'll come. And I was like, do not come see us, because then you might not want us living in your house. But he went to work instead. Anyway, great guy. I would recommend the Airbnb and all that, but you know what,
Adelaide's a boring city.
You don't want to go there. So there you go. That's why.
And the Fringe is like,
don't say something.
I mean, not gay. Not gay. Not gay.
God damn it.
No, it's cool. It's cool. It's a feast for the senses and the eyes and stuff, but there is a bit of it is like, this is kind of lame.
People aren't going to shows at that Fringe.
No, they're not. It's like, another show where a man's wearing a dress. Try stop me. No, everyone's there having a beer, which is cool, but there's too much fucking...
It's set up like a state fair, if you will, if you're from America, kind of like a circusy state fair. So it's like all these like park areas, they're blocked off, and you got to open a gate and whatever. And there's rides, and then there's big tents where shows happen. Then there's all these food, trucks and like stalls selling shit and whatever. And people go to drink in the park. Like, they're not going to shows. Maybe they are, not comedy shows.
Yeah, no, it's not just comedy. The comedy there is pretty bad anyway, but the whole thing is just an art. Yeah, what is it? I don't know. It's an arts. It's a people who.
It's the second biggest arts festival in the world after Edinburgh.
Yeah, it's rich people who have decided that their parents are going to fund their dead end art career.
Yeah,
basically. I've got a crew cut and I pretend to be molested. That could be a whole show. I should bring that show next year.
I guess the one thing I'll say about Adelaide Fringe is that they take less ticket money from you than Perth does, and
scratch everything I said. It's great.
They do have a place where you can print shit out, such as Mark's flyers, and laminate.
That was very nice.
Speaking of, I do want to just say this so it's on record. There was one person I forgot to mention in my rant about Perth last week. And that is, and I mean, he doesn't listen to this, and I don't think he'd care. But I just, I feel like you got to like acknowledge when people are solid, especially in lieu of the fact I'll just like, this is something that Perth Festival did and has yet to rectify, but is slowly on their way there. Mark, said, I'd like to be paid into an Australian bank account. This is what happened. They send you your settlement, and then they say, if you want to amend anything, you need to let us know by this date. So I replied on Mark's behalf, please pay me into this Australian bank account. I applied within an hour of receiving the email, so well before the deadline. I'd like to be paid in this account so I do not incur your $15 fringe international transfer fee, just another sort of fee that maybe their bank is charging them, maybe they're not. I'll never know, but just another fee that Perth is charging artists to do basic stuff. And the person never wrote back. And like 8 days later, there's no money. So I follow up. I'm like, hello. Haven't heard back from you. I just want to make sure you got those details, whatever. 1 day later, they send it to the wrong account. They charge us the fee. Then the account charges us a fee. So now that's $40 that, we're just charged. And it's like, that might not seem like a lot, but when the festival,
when you ain't selling fucking tickets, that's a lot.
And when a festival's nickel and diming you and taking $5 for every ticket you sell, you're like, well, that $40 means a lot, actually. And what the fuck? Like, I sent you all this information, and then you just sort of dropped the ball. So then I just kept being like, can somebody address this? Hello? You know, I was just like, this is crazy. So finally somebody wrote back saying, please send us a receipt for the fee from the bank and an invoice. So then I create an invoice, but I'm like, okay, here's the invoice for the 25 from the bank, and then here's an invoice for 15 from you because you still didn't send the right amount. And you're just, I think the thing is if they weren't fucking you in the ass, you'd kind of be like, all right, $40, whatever. But it's like, the thing is, they are fucking you in the ass, and they're fucking in the ass while pretending to be a festival that cares about the artist, which they don't. And I know, you know, every fucking comedian thinks they're more talented than they are, and myself included. But it's like, at this point, I've done enough comedy all over the world, and I've seen my show, and I've been in a room where I've made people laugh for a full hour, and I've, of course, had shitty shows as well recently. You know, but it's like, I'm like, you could give a shit about what talent is actually at your festival if they didn't pay you a certain amount of money to be in a hub, and even then you don't care about them either. So I'm real worked up about it, because when you're an act, you're kind of between a rock and a hard place. You either have to keep doing these kinds of things or become so famous that you're selling at your own shit, or be famous on the whatever. So anyway, my point is the guy who I was doing Filthy Funny Females with at Perth Fringe World his name's Nick Mortimer, and he was really, really solid when I got shingles, okay, in my mouth and had to keep doing the shows. And I was supposed to have 4 nights of that show. It was selling so poorly, I had to ask comics to drop out because I couldn't pay them out of pocket and lose money on the show. It's not even that the rooms were bad. It's just when you start factoring in all the fees and the registration and then the room rental and everything, it's like I might have 30, 40 people in the room, but it's not covering my fucking costs. So to then pay each act and not that much money, $50, you know? So, you know, I'm sitting there trying to navigate all this while I have fucking shingles. So my last night of the show had sold 2 tickets, and Nick, and this is a Saturday night, you know, which is insane. The other shows had sold really well, but I'm the shingles are horrendous at this point. And he was like, look, if you want to cancel tomorrow, I won't charge you the room rental fee. And that means I can't remember what time it was, 9:30. You know, that's a prime time. You know, who's to say why it had no pre-sales? A lot of tickets did sell day of, but him saying that I didn't have to then pay him anyway because I'd agreed, but him being like, yeah, I'm a human and clearly you're unwell and you haven't sold that many tickets. So absolutely cancel. And tell the festival, that you're sick. So, with shingles in my mouth. So, so hopefully they don't charge you the cancellation fee. So, of course I did that. And of course the Fringe charged me their $30 to do that. But this man didn't charge me a room rental fee, which was quadruple that. So it's just goes to show sort of the mechanisms of people, I think in this industry, but also every industry needs to be a lot more like Nick Mortimer and a lot less however Perth is operating. I have yet to understand why they need that much money from all of us, what exactly they did. As far as I know, Perth was really unsuccessful for a lot of people. We happened to do okay. As we also just happened to do okay in Adelaide. And Adelaide was successful for some people, and wasn't for others. So, whatever. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
You didn't say a single thing while I was saying all that.
Yeah, but you just kept up a good pace, and I just,
Well, I mean, I think...
There's good folks out there, man.
Well, yeah, you got to highlight them because they're so few and far between, and I forgot to do that last week.
There's plenty of good folks out there. There's loads.
Oh, you say plenty, but
there's
it's
loads
no.
of them.
And the worst part about it is now I'm in Bali and I'm thinking about stand-up comedy because we're recording a podcast, and I don't want to because I don't miss it. So how did we get here?
What are you playing?
I feel like you just started daydreaming and now you're not.
No, I'm not. I just was remembering that we have patrons we need to actually thank.
Okay, well, thank them and then we'll talk about the Russians.
Hello, patrons. Thank you to Chicken House. Thank you to the
Chicken House.
Thank you to Mark.
Mark is a goddamn hero.
Mark is a goddamn hero. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's good that you have to say something nice about yourself. So, can you repeat that? His name is?
Mark is a goddamn hero.
Can you enunciate?
Mark is a goddamn hero.
Thank you. Okay.
Kev or Damo or both.
I don't remember which one, but it's not both.
Bev and Shane, obviously. Bev and Shane, Dublin.
I think that's it.
Ben.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Henley. Sorry I said that. .biz.
That's it.
Thanks to Ben. There's not more?
No, we have one more, but they're on a different tier, and we appreciate you. We appreciate you,
Is
but
it
we
Tom?
have to... God fucking damn. No, it's not Tom.
It's not Tom.
Thank you. No, it does mean a lot. Thank you, because, yeah. Thank you very much for supporting us. If you are a listener and you would like to support us, please go to patreon.com/thisamericanirishlife. And if you give us $5 a month or whatever it is in pounds or euro or whatever the shit, we will say thank you on the podcast in whatever name you would want to have forever.
Yeah, if you make it a slur, I'll say it.
Well, for as long as you... No, don't... okay. Incorrect.
Okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't advertise
Jesus
my willingness
Christ.
to say anything.
Are there... I'm not saying that there should be, but is there a slur for Russian oligarch? Or is that the slur?
No. There's no
The slur for Russian oligarch isn't Russian oligarch?
No, I don't think there's a slur for that.
You
I know,
can't
you go
yawn.
for
We're
it.
not finished.
I'm not fucking yawning. I mean, I am, but I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just my coffee buzz is worn off. I will have to make another coffee very soon.
Okay.
Anyway, how was your meal tonight? Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Tell the people what you had.
What the fuck, man?
What?
Well, no.
Why?
Well, because the only thing I can think of when you say, what did you have tonight, is, yes, it was delicious, but they tried to run my credit card, but we're in the jungle, so it wasn't working, so we paid cash, but it looks like the charge is pending, so we'll have to find out later, and I really don't want to have to file a claim to get money back from this place, and it's not that much money, but I don't want to pay twice, because even though it is cheap here, I'm still broke, and my money has to last a certain amount of time before I go completely destitute.
How about the meal, though? How was the meal?
I said it was good.
It was great.
But I think, okay, we should talk about some of the stuff we've done.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
yeah.
let's start.
There's been
Okay,
actually
because-
quite a few experiences here that we
Yeah.
need to talk about.
Experiences. So first of all, the breakfast is banging. I think it's making me fat, though, and I lost a lot of weight.
They have
with
noodles
shingles.
for breakfast, these crazy cats.
Yeah, and so that's going to have to change pretty much immediately because I didn't lose all that weight not eating to just gain it eating noodles for breakfast, but they are delicious.
And they have pancakes. And there's a banana in the pancakes. It's insane. And then they have all sorts of fruit you've never seen
Dragon
before.
fruit.
Yeah, it's all
Papaya.
fancy colours. And everyone looks like shiny and beautiful.
That is true.
Because they eat fucking fruit.
Yes.
Not like fucking shit fruit from Tesco. That's
No.
like the fruit looks like it's got Down syndrome.
Yeah.
Because it's been treated so badly.
Yeah. That is true.
Pasty Down syndrome fruit you get in Tesco's and fucking Sainsbury's and what's the other one? Waitrose. Waitrose is like less mentally handicapped food, but still.
No, Waitrose, it's just had like a fucking Botox injection.
Yeah, it's just better packaging basically.
Anyway.
It doesn't rot before you get it home.
Yeah, but it still sometimes rots. Like those avocado, they're like, buy these ripen at home. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. That's a way to get me to buy unripe avocados that may or may not go bad or never ripen at all. Anyway,
we went to a sound healing.
yeah.
We're in
The
a
person next to me fell asleep and was snoring,
we're in
but
a
then
he-
they woke him
We're
up.
in a healing mode, so we went to a place called the Pyramid of Chi.
The Pyramids of Chi,
And
where
they're pyramids in the middle of some white people have bought
yeah,
up
it's
some
like a
land
fucking.
and built some fucking pyramids, and
The
then
pyramids are cool, though. Inside the pyramid is pretty cool.
and then you lie down.
Everyone you're surrounded with, and I don't know, I don't want to put this like out in the universe or whatever, but you're sitting there and you're like, that was the only time in recent memory that I was like, you and I are fucking comedians, because we're sitting here and we're like, this is we shouldn't be here because there's too much to laugh at.
But I had a good time. It's great.
I did have a good time.
Ancient sound healing.
No, man, here's the thing. That dude's job is the job to have.
Yeah.
This dude, he is like, all right, you're going to go into this pyramid and you're all going to lay down. And I have to be honest, it was comfortable in that fucking pyramid. The pyramid was cool. The shit you lay on is cool. They give you one of those little beaded masks you get to take home. So it's like worth the $20 you paid to go to the thing. And it was $20. I mean, it was only $20, you know?
He played a didgeridoo. He played gongs.
Yeah, he played...
He shook a shaker.
He shook a shaker. He played singing bowls. He played the sound of his beautiful voice.
Then he just started singing himself. He started going,
Yeah.
oh. It was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah,
It
it didn't sound exactly like that. But
fantastic.
And you're in a pyramid, and it resonates pretty crazy, and you just sort of lay there, and you listen to that shit. And then I had to do a big doo-doo afterwards, and I think you did too.
The vibrations make you want to shit your pants. That's
Yeah.
how powerful they are. That's how powerful this white people magic is. They have here in Bali.
Yeah, he was brown, but that's okay.
Yeah, he was brown. That's why we accepted it.
Yeah, okay. Is that why? Anyway.
Everyone else there was pasty as fuck, though.
Everyone else there was paid. And they're all taking pictures and blah, blah, blah. But it was really nice. Yeah, there were Russians there, too. I started, yeah. So that was cool.
Then we went to that Russian compound to do floatation tanks.
Yeah, so... of course, I find out that it's been a lifelong dream of Mark's to do a flotation tank because he heard it on Joe Rogan.
Not a lifelong
once.
dream, but Joe Rogan's been talking about it for many years, and I always thought I should probably give it a go because
Joe did it.
Because me and Joe were kind of kindred spirits.
Yeah, I thought you were brothers, but anyway.
We are brothers. Me and Joseph are brothers.
So we were like, all right, we'll go to this, because again, like everything's really inexpensive. So, when you start, like, in Indonesian money, it's like, oh, this will cost you 1.2 million. And you're like, oh.
But in real people money, it's barely anything.
It's like it was like $70 for two of us to go to this place, have a little bit of lemon water, then do this light therapy where it's like supposed to be a DMT trip in your mind or something through lights. It was nice.
It was just nice. I was relaxed. Everything was just relaxing. I didn't really even the fucking what's it called?
The float tank.
The flotation tank. It's fucking. It's not like you're going on a trip. You're just in a tank in the dark, floating for an hour. I just had a chill time. I was pretty relaxed.
No, I had a big realization. That's probably not funny enough for me to bring up on the podcast for you as you're sitting here yawning. Again.
It's been a long day, boo.
We had all this stuff to talk about, and you're just yawning your way through it.
No. I want to save some for the podcast we're doing next week as well. We've got so much more experiences to do in this wonderful island.
Yeah, but okay.
Tell him about your revelation.
Should I?
Do it, man.
Well, it's definitely not funny. But like,
this isn't just about funny. This is also a mental health podcast.
Yeah, what not to do with your mental health. Don't snort meth that you find on the ground. I've been like, I don't know, you're maybe it's just like age or whatever, but like trying to go through this, okay, like I want to like let go of, I guess, fear and forgive people and, like in my mind, and in my heart and shit like that, people who have like actively done things that you would understand if somebody wouldn't want to like forgive somebody or would be fearful or whatever, like shit like that. And it's and I've done like loving kindness meditations and stuff like that, and I find like depending on the day, it's either there's a lot of forgiveness and like, oh, like I extend love to them, and like whatever, understanding and empathy, and we are all one, or like I'm just like not fucking there at all. And I was like floating around in that tank, and I was like, oh yeah, like I should like, okay, like I was like extending love to people, and I'm like, this is just me like saying this in my mind. I'm not like really feeling this genuinely. I'm just like saying it. And I guess if you say it enough, maybe you start to feel it. And then I was like, oh, well, like, okay, think of somebody that you do actually love. And then I thought of you. And then I felt like fear attached to that. And I guess there's always this fear, which is like attachment, that maybe someday someone you love isn't going to love you anymore, right? Or maybe they don't love you, you know? And I, in that moment, was like, oh, well, I was thinking about how you took care of me when I had shingles, you know? And I was like, well, that's... if there's any fear that like you don't care for me or love me, I mean, you know, it's like when you care for someone when they're sick, you know, that is like showing love. And like you were so kind to me. And then I realized that probably, and I'm like floating around this tank, like I'm naked. I've got like these earplugs in. I can hear like, you know, I'm in the dark, which is already like fucking pretty weird. And I had to pee really bad because I had drank an entire young coconut. Drank. Sorry, man. It's late, and you've been yawning for 25 minutes, which is sucking out the rest of my energy. Yeah, I'm blaming you. I had enjoyed drinking coconut water from a coconut, and I drank the entire coconut minutes before we went into this tank, which means I had to pee really bad the whole time. So I'm sitting here, and I'm like, oh, the reason where this fear comes from and the lack of ability to love people, you know, it's coming from a place of like, I don't really love myself yet, you know? And then I started to cry because I was like, okay, start to tell yourself like that you love yourself in the way you love one of these fucking lizards you see or one of these stray dogs that's running around. And I was like trying to tell myself like, I love you like I love the stray dog, and it was difficult to do that. And so I was like weeping in this tank. So now I'm weeping in the tank, and you're just like floating around next door, just like, oh, I'm relaxed. This is what Joe Rogan was talking about. And I'm like weeping in this fucking tank. And yeah, I don't know, you know, it's like, at the beginning of, you know, I know I haven't like talked about any of this completely like mystical experience I've had or been having without drugs on this podcast, and I don't know if I will or when I will or if it'll just go somewhere else, but like, you know, whatever, this fucking weird ass journey started, and you know, I realized then that I had a lot of work to do with actually valuing myself, and in many ways some of that work has been done because I don't want to put up with some shit that I would have once put up with stand-up. But I still, like, at the core, you know, I'm working on, you know, being nice to myself and finding actual love and self-acceptance and all that shit. So I had a great time in the float tank. That was years of therapy in 1 hour, and I had to pee so bad that I got out of the float tank, and then while crouching above the shower drain and urinating into it, was trying to tell myself, I love you even though you're doing this awful thing, and hopefully they won't have to clean up too much of your urine if you miss, and, you know, shit like that. So that's my story.
Well done. I mean, I think people listening today can really connect with that. You know,
are you trying to Joe Rogan me right now?
No, I don't. I don't know. I was just reinforcing the powerful statements you made.
You were reinforcing what?
The powerful statements you made.
Well, I don't know. Maybe people can relate to it. I mean, you know, sometimes you're bowling around the world and you're not really thinking about.
We're just into healing more than comedy right now. So we're not trying to be funny. We're trying to help people. So. Email in
snorting meth.
Don't
so
email your
he did it, so nobody else has to. Email in what?
I was going to say email in your healing stories, but don't.
Oh, I would love a good healing story. I don't know. You know, it's just it's interesting. You know, it's because you kind of. It's something that I think probably seems so obvious in a way, and because I'm like feeling better in different ways, it's still distracting from, I think, like the core thing. And it doesn't really matter what like cultivated a feeling of like not having self-worth or not being worthy of love or whatever, but it's like sort of like being able to recognize that like I do tend to be nicer to a stranger or like a plant or an animal, or even trying to extend love to people, you know, like mentally or whatever, that have like actively done fucked up shit to me. and it never acknowledged it. And because this happens to people. I mean, people do awful things to each other all the time and then never acknowledge it, and you have to find your own closure. But trying to actively, I will learn to love that person and accept them and forgive them and also forgive myself for anything I'm going to done. It's like the self-forgiveness. Like, that's the stuff that, like, I feel like is really easy to miss, or at least for me. And kind of realizing, like, it's like what RuPaul says: if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? And I was like, oh, so that's what I'm missing. It's like I have, like, I might kind of think highly of myself, but I think at the very core of it, there's like, that needs a lot of work, So I'm in Bali.
Make a meme. That seems like a
make
good...
a meme.
Make a meme.
What's the meme say?
Just a picture of a floating tank and just go, if you can't love yourself, then get out of the fucking tank.
If you can't love yourself, then get out of the fucking tank.
Yeah, I think that works.
Don't you think it should be like,
actually, it's a picture of an actual tank going into war.
But shouldn't it be like, if you can't love yourself, fucking don't get out of the tank?
Okay.
Stay in the tank until you love yourself?
Okay, that's better. Sorry, I just tried something.
But I mean, I think we should... The one thing that was weird about this float place is like... So it's like you're in Bali, and you're walking down the road, and there's like, restaurants. They're shacks. Like, one of the best restaurants we ate at is called Seafood Warung, and I believe Warung means restaurant.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're brother and sister. I don't know if they're husband and wife. I know they look 14 years old.
They're not. They're actual children. The children run restaurants over here.
And, like, we rock up the first night to eat there, and then 8 drunk French dudes show up. The fucking power goes out while they're cooking. It was delicious. I go around. I was like, can I go to the bathroom? I go around to the bathroom. It's a hole in the ground. That was new for me. I have definitely dug my own hole to poop in it in nature, like that makes it. But this is like, and yeah, there was nowhere. It was very moist. It was very wet, and I don't know, that was new for me. That was new. Some of the moistness got on my foot, and then we ate crab. But anyway, that's the vibe. It's like you got shacks on the side of the road serving delicious food after they poop in the ground, But then we go into this place to do this float tank. Are you going to contribute?
I'm fucking thinking.
Okay, well, what was it?
Well, we went to the fucking float tank first. We went to the place afterwards. So you're...
No, I'm talking about where the float tank was.
Yeah, it's down the street.
All right. I think we have to stop. Because you're like...
No, I'm just... My coffee buzz ran out. I told you earlier.
Okay, well, that's a very sad story, but I'm not... I've already talked enough, so...
Okay, what happened was, like, Catherine tipped the child fucking...
No. I asked you where the float tank was. And I think this is where, you were itching to talk about the fucking whole Russian experience. And now you're like, I don't know where it was.
No, I know where it was. You go down, when you would, like, it was...
Giant Russian compound.
It's a giant Russian compound down a fucking dirt street. It doesn't make any sense. It's down an alley, and you walk down an alley, and then there's, like, a compound that's the size of, like, 20 football pitches just being built, and it's way out of whack with, it's pretty insane. It's, a bit creepy. But it was, what an experience seeing it, and then Catherine spent 45 minutes in the gift shop while I was stuck in the fucking car park.
Didn't even do that. Didn't even do 45 minutes.
There's nowhere to sit, and I was avoiding traffic, and fucking weird Russian people, like, staring at me, asking me to move. And
Rich
like,
Russians.
This is fucking gay. And,
Can you...
this is, lame. Sorry, excuse my language. I've been, listening to too many rap musics. But, and then we went, and then, see what happened was, the previous day, we went to this seafood restaurant run by 2 children, and Catherine, by accident, not her fault, she doesn't know how the money works, she tipped them the equivalent of maybe 3 pence, so 2 cent American for the whole meal. And the kid took it, and he was happy. He was a happy little boy, a happy little 9-year-old who cooked our meal while it was full of drunk Europeans and the power was outing. So Catherine, like a lovely lady, went back after we went to the float tank and she had her revelations and she tipped them the equivalent of, let's just say that kid's going to put himself through college.
No, this isn't why I wanted you to tell the story.
Oh,
and also,
okay.
What the you thought I wanted you to tell the story so we could celebrate that I fixed my tipping error. This podcast has to end now. You and I are no. You're not even here. I feel like I was like I started talking about my feelings, which I understand makes you very uncomfortable because your feelings live in your feet because that's how far you push them down because you're from Ireland.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. And I start this one thing and I say all this stuff and then you just stop listening and then we get to the whole thing. The whole build up was like, oh, we're going to talk about the Russians and whatever. And then you turn it into the story about tipping. And so since you brought it up, which I didn't, but it was my first night here and it was my first time looking at this money and I was looking at it and it says 1,000. So I'm just like, okay, that's a big number. Here you go. And it's not apparently.
It's not a big number.
So, I did fix that, but that's not why I thought we were going to talk about this weird Russian compound and then talk about the Russians that we saw at lunch today who were awful. But now I don't want to. Now we're going to have to wait till next time.
I'm too scared to. I don't want to.
You're too scared. They don't know who we are.
I
didn't yell at
they've
them.
got ears everywhere. They've got ears everywhere. You don't know.
Okay, fine. If they're come get me. Like whatever. Like I'm more angry that you do this whole build up at the beginning. Like aren't you a comedian? You do this whole build up. You're like Russians, and I'm like, okay, let's wait till the end. Wait till the end, and then now we're at the end. You tell a completely different story. You glaze over the Russian thing.
No,
and then
I'm
you
trying
decide
to I'm trying to save some fucking content for next week.
Then you announce to me that you're scared.
You're blowing
scared
you're blowing your load. You got to save some content.
This is what we started with the beginning with. So I was trying to wrap it up like a little present, like
all
a
right,
gift.
All right, I didn't. Like,
We're done.
You
now.
have to tell me beforehand if you want fucking symmetry.
I told you at the beginning. Oh, we'll get into that. You can listen to it again because fortunately it's recorded.
You know what? I think this is a really successful podcast. I think there was feelings, there were stories, and there was laughs. I mean, what else do you want? From the
Nobody
jungle.
laughed.
From the fucking jungle.
All right.
I can't wait to see monkeys.
Are we going to tell them about the Russians next week or no?
You know what? Because I don't want to rush into... Did you get what? Just see what I did by accident.
I saw what you did. Yeah.
And a bat just passed. So this is what happened right there. I accidentally said I don't want to rush into anything. And that was an accident. I didn't even plan that. So that's the word rushing and rushing. So that was funny, right?
Get this
that's
man
hilarious.
a fucking award.
And then and a bat just flew past my fucking porch. I mean, get the hell out of town right now. This is the jungle we're speaking about. It's Jumanji out there, and I'm Robin Williams, and I'm going to kill myself.
Okay, I take it back. There was laughter. That's horrible. That's very funny.
Okay, so we'll podcast from our next location.
Okay, well, you know what? I just want to say to the people out there who are still listening, if you can remind me, if you want to hear it, did you notice the woman? Well, fuck it. Maybe there's nothing else to say with this. But there was the woman next to us at dinner tonight who was reading out loud. So the restaurant's like nearly empty. It's just all the family there and the dogs and the cats and all that. And then this woman's sitting next to us reading to herself out loud. Did you hear that?
Did not notice that.
Well, we can talk about who the fuck does that next time.
I didn't know that.
If you can remind me, or maybe
you didn't even point it out.
Or maybe somebody could send me an email at thisamericanirishlife@gmail.com. And remind me if you want to hear us talk about that.
Okay, we'll talk to you from the next location. Thanks for traveling with us. This is now a travel podcast. It has to be a saying for a travel podcast.
Bon voyage.
Get in the...
Fuckhead.
Yeah, all right, fuck it. All right. Okay, good night, everybody.
Do they know you dance every time you play the song?
I say good night. Good night.